All right. So there you are, David. I see you, but I can't hear you yet. Okay,
It's
you're unmuted now.
There we go. Yeah, now I can
Yes,
unmute myself. Wonderful. Thanks for that great
great.
introduction, Stephanie. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to let everybody know we are going to record this session so you can have access to this later on through the website. All of David's presentation is also on the FEB website. So his slideshow that he's going to be doing here in just a moment is also on there, so you can download that. And he's got some other handouts and that sort of thing on the website too, the FEB website. So that's where you can go. If you do have any issues during the presentation, you could still send a message to me as the host, and I will try and assist you. We've got Larry Heisel on today as well, and John Cleveland, so they'll both be able to assist as well. So David, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you, Stephanie. It's always a joy to be back with my federal community, right? My federal colleagues here, and to share some good information.
Yes.
So I am going to try to get my slides up and going here, see if technology wants to act right today. Let's see
That's
here.
always what we hope. We have lots of people today from all over. So
right.
we are grateful that you are here today giving us this information. It's so exciting that everybody has reached this point in their career. So I'm very happy for everybody here today.
It's wonderful. We're going to have a good time with Social Security. That's usually not what people think, right? But we are going to have a good time sharing information and making sure people have what they need here today. So, man, I'm telling you, this is moving like molasses in January here today. Let's see. Hopefully, once the slides get up here, we should be hopefully running smoothly here. All right. You can see my first slide, right? Okay, let's see.
You're
Let me
good
do
to
a
go.
little advance. Okay, looks like we're moving like we should be here. All right,
great.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Yeah.
So, like, we've talked about here this morning, we're really here to talk about Social Security today. And we want to make sure that you all have the basic information that you need, to make some decisions, figure out when you want to file for benefits, and really what some of your benefit options are. And so on this opening slide, you see a lot of people on this slide, and that's very intentional, right? Because as we know, Social Security affects all of us at various stages in life, right? And many of our loved ones. So of course, today our conversation is going to be focused on retirement. And you may be wondering, who is this guy? Why is he qualified to speak to you? Well, I know Stephanie shared some of my details there in the bio in the opening, but I do work here out of our Kansas City regional office for the administration. And we do events like this for the 4-state region: Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, and Nebraska. If you're joining us from outside of those states, then my counterparts in other regions do events like this as well. And I've really enjoyed my career with Social Security. I can't believe it's been 18 years now that I've been with the agency. I know many of you out there have even more years than that on me, but it's been a great run. And I really got my start with the agency as a claims specialist, right? So the person who you would, communicate with, or who would review your claim, for benefits, making sure you understand what it is to expect, what your options are. And then did that for about 5 years. And then I spent some time as a supervisor in one of our local field offices. So making sure that, people are taken care of, and that we're providing good service. And then the remainder of my career really has been within the public affairs and training realm. So doing events like this, engaging with community partners. And then as a training instructor, I help train new claim specialists all across the nation on our policies and procedures and systems, so that when they get your claim, they know what they're doing, and they do it as quickly and efficiently and accurately as possible. So it's been a great ride. Hopefully my enthusiasm for what I do will come through today. All right. So what are we talking about today? Of course, retirement, the basics. How do you become eligible? When should you file for retirement benefits, and so on. We'll explore some of those topics. We'll also talk a little bit about survivor benefits, right? We don't like to think about death, but the reality is it happens. And so you want to know what that means from a benefit standpoint. We'll also talk about some other benefit considerations. These are some other things that you want to keep in mind when you're trying to decide when you should file for benefits. Okay. Then we'll kind of move away from the cash benefit side of the house and talk briefly about your filing options under Medicare. Now, one of my colleagues from CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, will be giving you much more detailed information about Medicare coverage and so on. But Social Security is involved in making sure that you get enrolled in basic Medicare. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll round out our time together today by talking about some of our online services, most importantly, creating your My Social Security account. Hopefully, most of you have done that already, but if you haven't, we'll give you some tips so that you can get in there and have instant access to your information. And then, as always, we'll have time at the end of the session here for Q&A. Okay, we might be able to take some throughout the presentation too, see how it goes. So just a brief disclaimer, of course, the information that I'm sharing today is current as of today, right? But, you know, our policies are subject to change at times. And so we encourage you to stay connected to our website at ssa.gov for up-to-date information on our programs and services. Now, when we're talking about Social Security, as most of you know, it is not the only thing to look forward to in terms of retirement. So as federal employees, hopefully we have been able to build some other things to kind of go into that bucket, right? So pension, of course, other savings and investments and other income. But Social Security is really that foundational step in this stairway to retirement, if you will. So it's important that we all understand it and how it fits into the picture. And so when we're talking about retirement, hopefully you are planning to have as much fun or even more fun than the ladies here on this slide. Okay, so let's see what that looks like in regards to Social Security. So how do you qualify for retirement benefits? Well, as most of you know, Social Security is a pay-to-play program, right? So you earn credits when you work and pay Social Security taxes, and you need at least 40 credits, which is about 10 years of work, and you have to be at least age 62 or older. Okay, that's just the bare minimum requirements. Now, the value of a credit here in 2023 is $1,640. And if you can earn up to 4 credits a year. So this year, if you earned at least $6,560, right? You've earned your credits this year. And then, of course, any earnings that you have above these basic amounts that you see on the slide, that's what increases your Social Security benefit amount, which we'll look at here in just a few moments. One thing I will point out as we go through the slides today, you will see some web links at the bottom of particular slides, and those will take you to more specific information about that particular topic. So, you know, you do have access to the slide deck, as Stephanie mentioned, so feel free to make a note and access those links through the slides. Now, how does Social Security determine your benefit amount? Okay, well, we are looking at the earnings that are posted to your Social Security record, right? So in step one, what we're doing is we're taking all of the wages that have been reported to Social Security, you know, posted to your record, and we are adjusting them for changes in wage levels over time. It's a lot of words there. What does that really mean? This is a process called indexing, right? So for example, let's say you were making quote unquote good money back in 1995, right? Whatever that was good money back then. What we do is we take that dollar, whatever those earnings were back then, and we bring them up to the value of today's dollar. If we didn't do that, then everybody's benefit amounts would be significantly lower, right, than what you see on your Social Security statement. So we're always using indexed earnings when we're computing your benefit. In step 2, we find the monthly average of your 35 highest earnings years, right? So we're not looking at your last 3 or your last 5 or, highest 3 or anything like that. We're looking at your 35 highest earnings years. And then the result is your averaged index monthly earnings. And that's really the starting point by which you see the estimates on your Social Security statement. Now, let's address the million-dollar question, right? What is the best age to start receiving Social Security retirement benefits? The real answer to that question is, it depends, okay? Now, there's lots of other factors that go into play here. Your health, your other financial obligations, are you still going to continue to work? There's other things to think about. But what we're looking at here on this slide is the relationship between your age at the time that you start your benefit and the benefit amount that you would lock in at if you filed at that age. So just a few moments ago, we learned that the earliest you could file for a retirement benefit is age 62. And we see that here reflected on the chart. What we also see in this example, right center in the middle of the chart, is the full retirement age of 66. Okay, for this particular individual, their full retirement age is 66. And if they waited until then to file for their benefit, they would receive their maximum benefit amount. And in this example, that's $1,000. But again, they could file as early as age 62. If they did that, then their benefit would be reduced and they would receive the maximum reduction for filing at the earliest point in time. We see that to be $750 here on this chart. And for every month that you wait to file for your retirement benefit, it goes up a little bit. We see that increase reflected here on a yearly basis. Okay? And then so again, if you waited until your full retirement age, you would receive your maximum benefit amount. Now, you also see dollar amounts after your full retirement age. And what those represent are delayed retirement credits, or DRCs. Okay? These credits are payable to you for simply waiting after your full retirement age to start your benefit. In this example, you'll see that increase for every year that this individual waits after their full retirement age is 8%. Okay? That's a pretty significant rate of return in such a short period of time. And so the longer you wait after your full retirement age, your benefit would increase with those delayed retirement credits. But those credits stop accruing at age 70. So if you're going to wait, there's no advantage in waiting beyond age 70 to start your retirement benefit. So you have some options here along this continuum. At any month between 62 and 70, right, could be an ideal time for you to file. And just by waiting a little bit longer, your benefit amount could increase significantly. Things to think about, right? Now let's take a little bit of a closer look at full retirement age and your year of birth, okay? On this chart, you'll see on the left-hand side, the year of birth. I don't need to see a show of hands. It doesn't need to be a testimony here today, but you can see where you fall, right? Based on your year of birth there and your corresponding full retirement age. So for some of you, it may be 66. And for some of you, it may be 66 in a few months. For me, I know I'm in the 67 category. So that's where I'm at. And then in the last column here of the chart, this shows the reduction factor that would apply if you filed at the earliest point in time. So that again, age 62. And so you see how that can vary based on your full retirement age. Of course, the link down below takes you to one of our retirement calculators, but we also have a variety of other free calculators to use on our website, right? So, you're wanting to try to figure out, what if I work a few more years and make X number of dollars? How much would that impact my Social Security benefit? Or, what if I want to file for benefits at 64 and 8 months? Or, 67 and 10 months? Whatever kind of that magic month of entitlement might be for you. You can really go through and do some of those calculations to kind of figure out, okay, maybe I'll wait a little bit longer, or maybe it's good for me to file right now. Okay, so we encourage you to check out those calculators when it comes to figuring out your benefits. So we've set the stage now for what benefits look like for you as an individual, but anytime we take a Social Security application, we are always interested in anyone else that might be eligible for benefits on the record. Who would that be? Well, when you file an application, we're going to ask if you have any minor children. So any children younger than 18 or younger than 19 and still in school, okay, meaning high school. We're also going to ask, do you have any disabled adult children? And that would be any children who were disabled before the age of 22. We're also going to ask, are you currently married? And do you have any previous marriages? Because a spouse or a divorced spouse may be eligible for benefits. Now, to be eligible for benefits, the age requirement is still there, age 62, or if the spouse is caring for a minor or disabled child, they could be entitled at any time. And if you're filing as a divorced spouse, the same age or caring for a child requirements are in place, but there are some additional requirements. To be eligible as a divorced spouse, you have to be unmarried at the time that you're filing for the benefit. The marriage has to have lasted at least 10 years. And the ex-spouse, meaning the person upon whose record you're filing for benefits, has to be at least age 62 or entitled to disability benefits. Okay, so not expecting you to remember all of these definitions, but the key, though, is to know that when you file for benefits, we're going to be interested in anyone else who might be eligible on the record. Okay. So let's keep moving here. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about benefits for a spouse, because I think this is one area of kind of Social Security benefits that is not always clear. Okay? And so what we're talking about here is that you could be eligible for an additional benefit based on your spouse's record. Okay? And the most that you could receive as a spouse is 50% of their unreduced benefit. Okay, now, as we're talking about spouse benefits right now, we are not talking about survivor benefits. Okay, that's coming though. Okay, right now, everyone is alive. Okay, so the most you could receive as a spouse is 50% of your spouse's unreduced benefit. If you file before your full retirement age, there'll be some sort of a reduction, as we saw earlier, unless you're caring for a minor or disabled child. And if you are due a spouse benefit, we're going to combine that with the retirement benefit that you're due on your own record. And then the next slide here, you're going to see a great example that's really going to kind of bring these things to life. Okay. Now, whatever you receive as a spouse does not reduce what your spouse would receive. And you're only eligible for that spouse benefit if your spouse is already collecting benefits or filing at the same time. let's move into this example here, because I really feel like this example makes it come to life. In this example here, we have me and my husband, Joel. Okay. And this is kind of a window into the world of a claims specialist right here. Okay, so you're getting a little bit of Social Security training right here. Okay. What a claims specialist does is we start by looking at the maximum benefits due on each record. Okay, so again, the maximum benefit means the benefit that you would receive at your full retirement age, or FRA, as you see here on the chart. Okay, so let's take a look at my record first. When we look at my record, the amount that I'm due at my full retirement age, my maximum benefit, is $1,200. And so we know from that alone, the most that a spouse could receive on my record is $600, right? Because that's 50% of $1,200. Now let's take a look at Joel's record. Joel is due a benefit of $400 at his full retirement age. So because Joel's maximum benefit is less than the maximum spouse benefit payable on my record, he's going to be due an additional spouse benefit. How much? Well, pretty straightforward subtraction there. 600 minus 400 equals 200. That's the maximum spouse benefit payable to Joel after we take into account what he's due on his own earnings record. And so when Joel files for benefits, we're going to pay him $400 or some fraction thereof if he's filing early. And then we'll also pay him $200 or some fraction thereof if he's filing early. And we'll combine that benefit, right? So he's not going to receive two separate payments. It would be combined. And that spouse benefit is payable as long as I've, filed for benefits already or am filing at the same time. Now, in the second example at the bottom of the chart, Joel's not going to be due anything as a spouse on my record because his maximum benefit amount is more than the maximum spouse benefit payable on my record. So hopefully the light bulbs are going off here for you. When you look at this example, you're already kind of thinking about if you or your spouse might be eligible, for a spouse benefit. Of course, we do have a calculator for spouse benefits on our website as well. So we encourage you to use that, right? We want people to use these tools so that they have a better understanding of their benefits. So now let's switch gears and talk a little bit about survivor benefits, okay? Death happens, and so it's important to know what options are available, may be available to you when that does, right? When things happen. And so we're looking at a slide here that is very similar to one that we just saw a few moments ago, right? Who are we looking for when it comes to paying survivor benefits? Any minor children, right? Younger than 18 or 19 is still in high school. Any disabled adult children. And of course, any surviving spouses. Now, this is where things differ a little bit when we're talking about widow's benefits. You could be eligible as a widow as early as age 60. So that's a full 2 years earlier than being eligible for a retirement benefit on your own record. You could be entitled as a disabled widow as early as age 50. And then similarly, at any age, if you're caring for a minor or disabled child. Okay. So we bring up survivor benefits in these presentations because we want people to be aware, right? You might file for a survivor benefit first and then file for your own retirement benefit at a later point in time, right? Things to think about, things to keep in mind. And so here on this chart, we take a look at kind of a comparison contrast, right? On the left-hand side, while everyone is alive, right, you could receive spouse benefits as early as age 62. There's normally a reduction if you file before full retirement age. Whereas a surviving spouse, you could file as early as age 60 or 50 if disabled. There would also be a reduction if you're filing before your full retirement age. But of course, the closer you get to that full retirement age, the more of a benefit you would receive, or the higher of a benefit you would receive. Okay. All right. So we've talked about retirement benefits, basic eligibility. We talked about spouse and surviving or survivor or widow's benefits. Okay. Now let's talk about a few other topics that may impact how much you receive. And one of those topics is the windfall elimination provision, or WEP. And this would affect what you receive from Social Security based on your own earnings record. Okay. And this would only apply to you if a part of your pension is based on work that was not covered by Social Security, meaning you're receiving a pension from employment where you did not pay Social Security taxes. If you've always paid into Social Security, then you don't have to worry about WEP. Okay? But if you know that you're going to have a non-covered pension, WEP could affect how much you receive in terms of your Social Security benefit. Of course, like many other things I've talked about today, we have a calculator on our website that you can use to figure out if WEP would apply to you, right? If you have a non-covered pension, you have to enter some information about that pension as well as your earnings, right? To use that calculator. Okay. So again, this is only if you had a non-covered pension, meaning where you did not pay into Social Security. Another thing that could affect you if you were eligible for a spouse or widow's benefit is government pension offset. Similarly, if you become entitled to a non-covered pension, right, again, based on work not covered by Social Security, then your spouse or widow's benefit could be reduced. Okay. This calculation is a little more straightforward. We take into account 2/3 of that non-covered pension, right, when determining if you would receive a spouse or widow's benefit. And just like WEP, we do have a GPO calculator on our website that you can use. Now let's talk about some other topics that may affect when you choose to file for benefits. And one of those is, do you plan to work and receive Social Security benefits? If so, then you need to know that there is an earnings limit that applies as long as you are under your full retirement age. So if you're 60, 61, 62, 63, all the way up to the year in which you reach your full retirement age, you have a lower earnings limit. Here in 2023, that limit is $21,240. That's gross earnings. If you make that amount or less, you're fine. There's no interruption or reduction in your benefits. But if you make over that amount, you have to pay us back $1 for every 2 that you make over that limit. Now, in the year that you reach your full retirement age, the limit is significantly higher, right? So this year it's $56,520 in gross earnings. The limit only applies to you until the month that you reach your full retirement age. And if you earn over that limit, then you'd have to pay us back $1 for every 3 that you earned over that limit. Now, in the month that you reach your full retirement age and beyond, there's no limit. So you can go out, have whatever amount of earnings you want, Sometimes I would say to people, you can go out and make your millions. Of course, I would get varied responses to that comment, but it's true. You could go out and have whatever earnings that you wanted, and it would not reduce your Social Security benefit in any way. So similarly, if you want to try out some different scenarios, you're going to work just a little bit over the limit. You want to see how much you'd have to pay back by working over the limit. You can use our retirement earnings test calculator. Now, when we're looking at those earnings limits, right, that we just saw on the previous slide, what is being counted? Again, earnings, right? So gross wages from employment are what's considered earnings, or if you're working as a self-employed person, net earnings from self-employment, right, that are reported on your tax return. We're not looking at pensions or rental income or maybe other taxable income. We're just looking at what you're making from work. Now, in some instances, when folks retire, sometimes you might receive a sort of special payment, maybe sick or vacation payout, maybe some type of severance or bonus or things like that. And it's usually for work that was done before you start getting benefits. Those special payments are not counted towards those limits, but you do have to report those to Social Security so that we can properly annotate your benefit record, right? So we're not counting those payments towards those earnings limits. And if you go to our website, this link here on the slide is also, will take you to the publication. But if you're on our website and you just type in special payments, you can pull up the publication that we have that goes into more details about those. Now, while I did say, when you reach your full retirement age, you can go out and make your millions and it wouldn't affect your Social Security benefit, Uncle Sam, the IRS is always interested in your income. And so that kind of leads us to the question, will my Social Security benefits be taxed? Okay, and the answer is it depends. Right? Let's look at what is involved in that. So when the IRS is determining, your tax liability, they're of course looking at your combined income. And so as we see here on the slide, that's going to consist of your adjusted gross income, meaning anything that you and or your spouse are making from work, plus any non-taxable interest income. So that's usually from investments or dividends, things that kind of fall into that category. If you've started receiving your Social Security benefits, only half of the amount that you receive in the calendar year will count towards your combined income. Okay, so not all of it, just half. And so you can see with this basic equation here, if you're able to minimize your income in one of these areas, right, in return, you might be able to minimize your tax liability. So you may decide to not start your Social Security benefits until you and or your spouse stop working. Okay, things to think about. To explore these topics in more detail, the IRS has some great publications. They're available at the bottom of the slide and on their website. Those are publications we recommend you check out for more detail. Social Security is not going to provide you tax guidance, right? That's not that's not under our umbrella, so to say. So the IRS is looking at your combined income here. And if your combined income falls within one of these categories, then you may have to pay federal taxes on your benefits. So if you're filing a tax return as an individual and your combined income is at least $25,000 or more, and if you're filing jointly and your combined income is at least $32,000 or more, that is when you would have to pay federal taxes on your Social Security benefits. And You can voluntarily have a certain amount of your benefits withheld for federal tax purposes. You can let us know that when you file your application or after the fact. You can do that through your My Social Security account. Okay, so there are options there. Okay, so we talked about taxation. We talked about all things cash-related benefits here. Okay, now let's move into talking just a little bit about Medicare. You're going to get much more information on Medicare later from our colleagues at CMS, right? But the basics here. Medicare is the nation's federal health insurance program, right? It consists of two parts, Part A, hospital insurance, and Part B, medical insurance. That was in the beginning, right? 1965. From there, Medicare has expanded. There are Medicare Advantage plans that include Part A and B, but also include extra benefits, vision and hearing and dental. Some of those Advantage plans also include a prescription drug plan. But you don't have to have an Advantage plan to have a prescription drug plan. Okay, you could just have original Medicare and enroll in a prescription drug plan. There are other Medigap coverages out there too to cover the kind of the in-between cost. There are lots of options out there. So Medicare.gov is a great place to go for that information, but of course, you're going to get some more of that here later on today. What I want to focus on with Medicare here today is when you become eligible. Most folks become eligible for Medicare at age 65, but if you have been on disability benefits for 24 months or more, or if you have been diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, or some type of kidney failure, you could become entitled to Medicare earlier than age 65. And so you have some filing options when it comes to Medicare. There is a fear out there sometimes, or misinformation to say, oh, well, no matter what, when you turn 65, you have to file for Medicare. That is not necessarily true. So let's talk about some of these filing options that you have. Social Security handles enrollment in Parts A and B. If you work for the Railroad Board, you would file through the Railroad Board, okay? And you can file for Medicare only and delay your cash benefit, right? Maybe you just want to get Part A and B coverage, but you want to hold out for a higher benefit amount, right? Maybe you're waiting until your full retirement age. You can also say, I just want to file for Part A right now and file for Part B when I no longer have coverage through my employer. Now, there are 3 enrollment periods that determine when you can file for Medicare. And these are important, okay? These are the times. So it's important that you understand these enrollment periods. At the top of the screen, you see the initial enrollment period. And it begins the 3 months before your 65th birthday, and it ends the 3 months after. If you don't enroll during that time, you have 2 other options to enroll. The special enrollment period is for individuals who are outside of the initial enrollment period. So you're 65 and 4 months old or older. And you can show proof that you have maintained group health coverage based on active employment, not retiree status, not COBRA coverage. You've maintained that group health plan insurance based on active employment. And that employment could be yours or your spouse's. As long as you can show that proof that you've maintained it from age 65 up until the time you file, you can enroll in that during that special enrollment period without any kind of penalty or delay. If you're not able to show that proof, then your only other option to enroll is during the general enrollment period. Happens every year from January through March. And that is where a penalty could come into play. We're going to look at that here in a second. Once thing to be aware of when it comes to making a decision to file for Medicare is if you have an HSA and you're planning to continue to make contributions to that HSA. There is an IRS rule that says you cannot make contributions to an HSA and be enrolled in any part of Medicare. Okay, so if you have an HSA and you're really focused on making some additional contributions, you want to make sure that you steer clear of filing for Medicare until the time is right. Now, there are some if you're ready to file for Medicare, maybe you already have Part A, right? You already submitted an application for Part A that was processed, and now you want to file for Part B. That just really is just submitting a couple of forms to us, the CMS 40B or the CMS L564, right? These are forms that we would need to process your Part B request. And you can submit those online to us. You can submit them, fax them to your local office, and we provide those options there. So you'll see that there on our website. There are also state health insurance assistance programs that can help you navigate all the other Medicare choices, right? Maybe you're wondering about a prescription drug plan or things like that. So we encourage you to kind of check in with them. They can provide you free, unbiased counseling. They're available in all 50 states. So, hey, think about it this way. You don't retire multiple times in life. You don't necessarily file for Medicare multiple times in life. And so it's good to have some support and guidance in that process. All of their, counseling is free. You don't have to worry about being directed to a particular plan or anything like that. So we encourage you to take advantage of that assistance. And so this is our website, socialsecurity.gov. Hopefully most of you have been to it before. We have a new layout as of late last year. The goal is to make it a little more action oriented. We know people are coming to do business with us online, and we want them to get exactly to where they need to go more quickly. So you see but the action words: prepare and apply, and after you apply, manage benefits, right? We don't have time to go through all of the website here today, but I do want to highlight the My Social Security account, right? This is the perfect way to have information about your benefits, to get in there and do some of that prep work so that you know what to expect when you file for benefits. It's free. There's no charge to create an account, and you can access it from anywhere you are, right? Laptop, smartphone, however. So let's take a closer look at the account. If you're not receiving benefits right now, which probably most of you are not, the biggest advantage in getting in there and looking at your account is looking at those retirement benefit estimates, as well as the estimates for survivor benefits too, disability benefits. Looking, maybe you need to get a replacement Social Security card for some reason. Maybe you need to prove that you're not getting benefits right now for some reason. You can get a benefit verification letter, and really looking at that Social Security statement to look at those benefit estimates, but also to look at your earnings record. Do the earnings that we have posted for you, are those correct, right? Or are we missing a year or two, right? You want to get that corrected before you file for benefits. And so when you log into your account, this is the information that you see, right? You'll see your name in the top right-hand corner. You'll see the ability to print your Social Security statement. There's a retirement ready fact sheet that is based on your age range, right? Gives you certain tips to look at. You can print out that benefit verification letter, replace a Social Security card, and then look at your earnings record, right? Have you worked enough and paid enough to be eligible for benefits? And so when it comes to creating and signing into your account, if you already have one, you'll enter your username and password, and then you'll also be asked to sign in using login.gov or ID.me. These are third-party identity verification sites that many government agencies are using as part of There's security, kind of procedures when it comes to an account. And so you'll be asked to create an account if you don't have one, or log in before proceeding. And then, if you need to create an account, of course, you'll have to follow those steps based on the login.gov or ID.me. Once you do that, you'd be redirected back to our site, so you can continue and access your account. You'll also receive an activation code, right? That's kind of that second factor, third factor of identity verification, making sure that the right person, right, is accessing the account. There are some instances where folks may encounter issues in creating an account. If your name or date of birth does not match with what's on our records, what you enter when you're creating the account, if it doesn't match with what's on our records, if there's maybe some address discrepancies, or maybe you weren't able to answer some of the security questions correctly, on either login.gov or ID.me, or if you've had some type of credit freeze or block, maybe you contacted us to block your electronic access to your information. These are things that you would, have to kind of resolve either by contacting us or contacting one of the credit reporting agencies to resolve, and then so that you could be able to create the account. Okay, so we'd just like to talk about a little bit about those up front so people are aware if they do encounter some challenges in creating their account. When you're ready to file for benefits, how does that work, right? You file online. You can do it online. The application takes about 15 to 20 minutes for a retirement application. That's usually quicker than it would take for you to call us, wait on the phone to schedule an appointment. But we know that not everybody's going to be able to do business with us online. So please feel free to call us to schedule an appointment over the phone or in office with a local representative. Okay. We just want to be able to serve folks where they are, right? And take care of you. And last but not least, mymoney.gov is a federal website that helps educate the American public about various financial topics. So if you're feeling a little rusty on a particular topic, or you just want to be more solid in your understanding, we encourage you to check out mymoney.gov. It's free. You're not going to be encouraged to buy anything, or not going to be sold anything there. And a shameless plug to follow us on social media. We post great content, might just be the nugget of information that you need for yourself or for a loved one. And if you know anybody that's looking for work, we are hiring nationwide. So please check out our LinkedIn page, and send some good folks our way. We need good workers, right? So with that, I will be quiet. I know the number on the chat is increasing greatly. So Stephanie, I'm gonna take a swig of water. You want to read some questions, and I'll give some answers. Okay?
Yes, thank you so much, David. I will start going through the questions, and what we're going to do is I'm going to start at the top and then work our way down. And then as we can, as time permits, then what we'll do is we'll get through what we can verbally. And then at the end, David's always good about answering the questions. And so we'll have that as well. So first question, does the Social Security earnings record only include base salary or any locality pay or bonuses? If not, should it? Is it based on our W-2?
Great question. Yeah, what's reported to Social Security are the wages in box 3, I think, of the W-2, right? So usually locality pay, any pay that you received that was taxed, right, is reported to Social Security. So whatever is in box 3, I believe it's box 3, right, of the W-2. Yeah.
All right. Can you receive Social Security disability and VA disability simultaneously? If so, how do you file for Social Security disability?
Yeah, great question. They're two separate programs, right? Receiving Social Security disability is based on your Social Security earnings record, and if you are found to be disabled. So, that is an independent decision from any VA disability benefit. And one does not affect, Social Security benefits are not affected by VA disability benefits. And so to file for Social Security disability, there's an online application. We didn't have time to kind of cover that today, But if you visit our disability benefits homepage, it will walk you through the steps of what it is to file for Social Security disability.
All right. I'm over the age of 65, still working full time. Didn't apply for Medicare when I turned 65 because I have group coverage. Can I now apply for Part A without a penalty?
Yes, you could apply for Part A. The penalty that I referenced earlier would apply to Part B coverage if you're not able to show proof that you have group coverage based on employment. Okay, that's the only time that penalty comes into play. That's for Part B. But yes, you could apply for Part A now. There would be no penalty, and your coverage for Part A would be retroactive up to 6 months, but no earlier than age 65.
All right.
Good question.
Can we open a My SSA account before retirement?
Oh, yeah, that's what we want you to do. Yes, get in there. Yeah, get in there, create that account. We want you to be informed about your benefits before you retire. That's one of the biggest things. So yes, do it today. That's your homework for today.
Yeah, I have mine open and I'm very thankful for it.
No, that's right.
Can you sign up for Medicare Part A from SSA online account?
You sure can. Yeah, the online Medicare application takes about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even less, depending on how quickly you can get in there. But yeah.
Okay. On spouse payments, do you both have to be receiving benefits in order to get spouse payments? Like, for example, spouse has filed, but you have not yet, and you haven't reached your FRA yet. Will you still receive spouse benefits?
Right. That being eligible for spouse benefits means, one, that you're filing for benefits on your own record. Okay. And then to be eligible for that spouse benefit, right, your spouse has to already be receiving benefits. So yeah.
Are Social Security indexes adjusted for inflation?
Good question. I'm not quite sure what is. I get where you're at with that, Mark. Yes, I think that is part of the indexing, right? Like, because when we're bringing we're bringing your wages up to the value of today's, dollar. So inflation is probably in there somewhere. I'm not a pro on that whole indexing thing. I'm not quite. That's deeper level of Social Security benefit calculation. So I'll do a maybe on that, Mark. All right, and I'll see if I can find some more information about that. Okay.
All right. Well, David, thank you so much. I think you saw where we left off in the questions. So David's great to answer these questions for us. And he takes his time after his presentation and he'll respond to those. And then I'm going to capture them and we'll post all of the Q&A, the written Q&A on the website afterwards as well. So it takes us a little bit to work through all of that. So David, thank you so much. This has been an excellent presentation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the sessions today, guys. Good information. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay.